Hey everybody, it's Bust, and today we're playing Dragon Priest in the All Commons Twist format. And so the Twist format's had 4 or 5 days to really mature itself, and the Dragon Warrior deck is currently sitting atop of the meta. I wouldn't be surprised today across our 5 games if we played it at least twice, maybe even 3 or 4 times. And it's just a deck you have to absolutely be ready for. Now, personally, I don't think it's a very good deck. I think it's probably a good day 1, day 2 deck, just something that can come down and easily beat up on all of the untuned decks running around. But I'm sure it'll be around to stay. People love dragons. It's the top of the meta right now. It's not going to go anywhere. But in a similar vein, we are out here playing with the Priest. The Priest brings a lot of things that I like that the Warrior version doesn't do. The main reasons to play Warrior are the 2-mana card that draws 2 random dragons and Warpath. And while we don't get access to that dragon card draw thing, we have comparable things to Warpath with the usage of Shard of Naaru to AoE silence and Holy Nova to just AoE the opposing units. And so I feel kind of okay in that space. I don't feel like we're really giving up too much against the aggro decks in the format by not playing Warpath cards. Things that we do get by coming into Priest is we do have access to a very powerful dragon in the Aeon Reaver. This is a very strong removal spell, being able to even take down 9 and 10 cost units depending on how the board plays itself out, and then tying in with that dragon keyword, of course, activates with the rest of the deck. That removal theme that we get with the Aeon Reaver is the big reason to be playing Priest to me. Shadow Word Death is fantastic in this very dragon-heavy format. Being able to take down a 6 or a 7 drop with a 2-mana spell oftentimes sets up very big tempo plays to where we kill off one unit with a Blackwing Corruptor, we kill off another unit with the Shadow Word Death, and then the opponent spent all of their 7 mana on a singular unit. So we are able to clear some of the opposing board, develop our board, while answering the opponent's play very effectively. Another way in terms of removal is we are playing Entomb. As the opponent does play these very big, juicy dragons, it can be nice to just say, oh, I'll take that. I'll draw that guy here a little bit later. I'll play 3 or 4 twin tyrants across the course of the game because you so kindly let me entomb your unit away. Otherwise, a fairly straightforward collection of cards, I do believe. In terms of the remaining early game package, we have Museum Curator is just an early game bro, along with Tortollan Shellraiser is a great early game blocking wall. We have a fantastic collection of dudes and cards that can stop the opposing aggression with the Shard of the Naaru, the Holy Nova, and the Tortollan Shellraiser, and then that ties back towards the Dragon package once we're into that mid and late game. I do suspect the majority of our Dragon package is what you're going to see across any Dragon's deck, since so many of these cards are neutral. Then the Netherspite Historian, the future Emissary as the big build-around, the big Ol Whelp, the Blackwing Corruptor. These are cards that you see all across the board in pretty much every Dragon's deck. The move that I'm playing here that I don't always see is I really like Evasive Drakonid, having access to the shroud type effect, whatever we call it in this game, where you can't cast spells on it, does wonders in terms of protecting it from cards like Execute. It can be very challenging for opposing Dragon's decks to deal with this. If you're playing like a 4-6 and a 4-6, those are going to get 2 for 1 by the Drakonid since you can't hit it with an Execute. Very powerful unit. Last but not least, we are playing 2 copies of Dragonslayer. I feel like every deck in this meta for the remainder of the month is going to include 2 copies of Dragonslayer, and so don't be surprised whatsoever if you see your opponent playing this thing. I suspect we'll play against dragons maybe 2 or 3 times over the course of our 5 games, and this is just going to be a very efficient card along the way. And so that's it. That's the deck. Let's go ahead and jump on into battle. And man, I got to figure out how we're going to start paying to win. It's kind of an awkward space paying up on the pay to win price. It was very easy to do within that space of Legends of Runeterra. I guess I could just right click on a card and turn it premium that way, but I'm gonna have to figure out how to get back to that. If you're a Hearthstoner, if you aren't familiar with the channel, a lot of these games tend to be very pay to win. In the sense that you got to turn your cards premium. It just makes them feel good about themselves, you're going out on your hot date night. You're looking good. You got your fresh haircut. You shaved. You got your crisp, nice shirt on. You say, I don't got to worry about that now. I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. This is going to be a good day. That's the way your cards feel too. You give them that premium treatment. You get that prismatic look on top of the card. Then it knows it's doing good. It's feeling good, doing good. And that's how we like to pay to win out here. But I haven't really been doing that in Hearthstone. It's early in our Hearthstone days, so we'll get it figured out eventually. But right out the gates, we're up against the Dragon Priest deck. A bit of a bummer of a start. Our hand doesn't really do anything. We're all just going to be going back and forth until turn 4, I would suspect. I don't really want to lead off with the future Emissary since we're not going to be getting a ton of value out of it. We only have the one dragon in our hand at this point, and so kind of hoping opponent coins out their own Emissary, and then we're just free to drop a Dragonslayer on this board. Otherwise, he is getting, fairly far ahead of us at this point. He had his dragon card draw thing to really get up and running and moving. And our hand was just pass in the early game. All right, we can continue on with this though. Things aren't going so bad here. Again, I like to just continue and build up as much dragons as we can. We want to spread this future emissary bonus on absolutely as much stuff as we can. And so we'll take a more non-dragony approach here in the early game. I wouldn't have been opposed to even just like Holy Nova trading the zombie Chow if we could have killed a unit that way. His unit had too much stats to try and push that out, but keep on with that stall and keep on going. But see, these are getting to the kind of points to where I talk about really liking Shadow Word Death, right? If we're going to start rolling into this next turn and being in the space to where we could cast a Shadow Word Death and then we can also play another dragon behind, you just essentially won the game at that point. And so it's a very powerful angle to be able to take. And that's the way I'm looking to start pushing here. I mean, these aren't fantastic targets in terms of what we're getting kills on with our stuff, but this is exactly how these tempo buildups can go. So the thing I would have to kind of start to worry about here is if he's going to get access to Warpath, right? As we do have the opportunity to get 2-for-1 here, and then he'll gain 5 life back off of the zombie Chow. It starts to be a little meh, adding dudes like the future Emissary to the board, knowing that it's just going to get caught up in the Warpath. But I think it's at least a good showing of one of the big reasons we're switching over into Priest, right? If he wants to just put down a 6-drop on this turn and we hit it with Shadow Word Death and then follow up with another dragon, very powerful sequence. All right, well, how are we going to get out of this one? I don't want to get too invested in this board. Like, we can just drop an Aeon Reaver, but that doesn't strike me as very good. I really want to come out and just start dropping Holy Novas, but I know that that's not the way to go. Let's just do this. We'll add in the Emissary. Get a little bit of value out of this zombie Chow, and then just push on from there. Now maybe we'll at least be getting a clear on this next turn with a Holy Nova and with an Aeon Reaver. Right, he's going to want to send the Corsair into our 4/4s, 2/3. We'll just hang out, I guess, then he'll get the strike onto Zombie Chow.
Your feeble magic amuses me.
Alright, so I think this is a pretty... Oh, not Entomb. Where you at? Aeon Reaver. Taking down the 7/7, I think that's pretty easy. I guess Holy Nova is still fine. We might find ourselves playing the second Holy Nova next turn if it gets the kill onto the 2/1. We're also out of Twin Tyrant range right now, not able to kill our 5/5. Feels pretty good. Sure. All right. Well, he's definitely ahead of us now. I do like the Shellraiser here, just soaking up the hit from the 5/4. Like, we have to be able to get a good Holy Nova at some point. So let's see. Let's lead off with the Historian. See what that turns up. I basically just want the most expensive card. I think Aeon Reaver, it does a very similar thing to the Evasive Wyrm. but it is more likely to just kill bigger units, I think. So we'll pick that up. Did I math this wrong? No. Okay. It's a standard bust move to come out and just do a bunch of math poorly, and so I thought we added that up wrong. This is okay. Will be a touch of a bummer if this is a turn for a twin Tyrant. I was really hoping to soak the attack from the 5/4 and then him not have too many good targets left after that. We'll have to see how it comes together. Alright, so far so good. Slam and an execute, sure. Oh, there's the Tyrant, gotcha. Okay, let's get a new friend. So yeah, feels like we're probably pretty far behind at this point. He has a lot more card advantage than we've been able to put forth. So we'll see. Looks like he's got a dragon card, taunt card. He nailed a discover a dragon from the druid thing. Yeah, we're definitely just dead at this point. We'll give it another go and see what turns up over the course of the next couple turns, but he's just got so much card advantage now. Alright, is anybody expensive in here? Yeah, Warbringer? Sure. We can even get you on board this turn. I don't think RNGesus is too upset about that. I don't think so. Yeah, he does have a million cards here. Need to really just like put forth a big tempo play. It's not like we can't push through this some way. Like if either A, he gets really greedy with his taunts and then we AoE silence them and get an attack straight through to face, or some kind of turn involving like an Evasive Wyrm and a Shadow Word Death. That could be another way for us to fight through on the round. Him adding all of these taunts, I could definitely see him go for that kind of thing. Yep, he's sent in face now. Interesting. The bonus landed onto the dragon, so we can now kill off our 9/6 if we want to. And we also hit another unit that we can play this turn. We can get the future Emissary on board. So we can play the Emissary and then play a taunt behind. Come on board.
The dragons come, and we are many.
Is that the way we want to go? We can just like Corruptor down his 5. And then we're only looking to take like 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. He's got 10 behind with this Jawbreaker thing, though. That's probably too greedy.
Your feeble magic amuses me.
Probably too greedy. But again, a similar space if we do pick up our Shard of the Naaru. I mean, I have to assume he's just going to start blasting everything into our 12/12. He's got to do something about it eventually. But if he tries to continue on that same plan to where he's like, well, I'm just going to sit behind my taunts, it gives us a chance to maybe get a kill with like Blackwing Corruptors and stuff. 5 to the Nug, that'll do it. All right, GG. Yeah, I like the dragon matchup. I feel like there's the kind of analogous thing in the space of Legends of Runeterra is what I think it kind of stands as is if you think of the Nora decks from the LOR people, as to where the Nora decks were exceptionally good up to a certain point, and that certain point being like it's good against all of the aggro decks, it's good against all of the mid-range decks, it has a little bit of a game against control decks, but once you decide that you're going to be a little bit slower than Nora, any deck that decided that they were going to be slower than Nora just annihilated it, right? So you would have like Nora Swain or whatever, and then like that just got crushed by Nora Vagar. And then Nora Vagar got crushed by all of the slower control decks, like whatever Karma deck was running around or Seraphine deck was running around. And that's what the Warrior deck feels like to me. Is like if you want to beat it, like if you want to come out and play like Jades, or you want to come out and play some kind of super greedy control deck, then you can, and you're going to have a pretty decent day. I don't know. Maybe I'm too new at this. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it strikes me as. All right, not the greatest set of Death Rattle units turning up, but we do already have the AoE against the hand buff deck, and so if he starts to try and pop off, we have the silence to weaken all of this nonsense that he has. Back in my day, the Grime Street Outfitter was a 1/1. Boomer Bust remembers back in his day. Cards were more expensive. Their cards were the same price, but not nearly as good. That power creep thing running around.
Let the pain speak to me.
All right, is that enough of a board to care about? I don't think it is. Like, I'm not particularly compelled. Like, this Acolyte of Pain is annoying, but he's not anywhere near killing us. And now we can just take down the Acolyte with the Corruptor next turn, or if he starts to spew on board, we do have the AoE silence. So, I think this is fine. Is he actually playing dragons? Has to actually be playing dragons. Like, it's a... The dragon itself is a reasonable value card, but when it turns up like that, we gotta just be out here in this dragon mirror. It does make things a little annoying. If I'd surmised that was what we were playing, I would have approached this game a little bit differently. And we're just gonna have to let him draw a card. Let's see. I'm not certain if we'll ever get a cheap Volcanic Drake. I don't think the board is ever going to be built up enough to where we get to play this unit for like 2. So let's just take the Scalebane. Let's see what Death Rattle thing turns up. Rotten Apple Bomb will be fine. Would we prefer the Revenant though? Just get the big value units on the board. I think I like that. So he's going to get to draw a card. Ideally, we would have played the Corruptor, but the Divine Shield that he picked up just took that away from us. But getting only one card draw off of Acolyte of Pain isn't that big of a deal.
Reporting for duty. None may steal our secrets.
No, that's more reasonable for a silence, right? It's the dragon and the acolyte and the Silverhand recruit. Sure.
I wield the power of Blackwing. The makers.
All right, we'll see if we can't catch up from there. I guess the other big like dragon card to be worried about coming out of Paladin would be the Death Rattle thing. It's like he's gonna drop the Death Rattle guy now and be like, "LOL, gotcha."
Steal our secrets.
Sure. Hey, we're not exactly close to dead. Let's get the Emissary down. Get our double usage unit down. See if we can't start getting like 2 plays on a turn now. So now we can say get a kill with the Shadow Word Death and get a kill with the Aeon Reaver, or double up with these Evasive Wyrms or something. Feels like next turn should be the one to where we're able to turn it around and start doing tempo stuff, assuming he's going to play expensive units, right? If he plays a 6-drop or a 7-drop, we should ideally be able to start getting advantages from there. Unfortunately, can't Shadow Word Death the can't targetable guy, but it's okay. We're catching back up. Trying to think of what other Paladin stuff would be turning up in here. If we want to add the Aeon Reaver, we could look to add things like Evasive Wyrm, since it is big enough to survive a hit from the Keeper of Oldemon now. Maybe that's just the safer way to go about it. Like, I think that if he plays like a combat trick onto the Keeper as part of his turn, that still just feels like a win for us. I think we should, like, pretty closely be able to build up to the turn where we get to Shadow Word Death something and then add a unit. Oh, that's got to be good, right?
For Blackwing.
It's got to be good. I did the mathematics on that one. We get to just full clear his board now. The question will be, do we want to play the Evasive Wyrm or the Aeon Reaver? Do we want to play the dragon or play the dragon, right? And I think the Aeon Reaver should technically be able to take down bigger plays. But we got to start spending these Shadow Word Deaths. Like, this is the easy part. It is nice to be able to kill that giant dude with an Aeon Reaver, but I worry that we're going to get locked into these kind of like specific removals, to where if you have a way to kill a small, a medium, and a large, it's nice to have access to all of them, as opposed to getting locked into having 3 ways to kill a large in your hand, right? So if we have all Shadow Word Deaths and then opponent plays a twin Tyrant, we don't have any way to take it off of the board. So do we want to just go for the width here? Like, he's already played 1 Consecrate. I'm more thinking about how we end up losing our Aeon Reaver here. And I think Consecrate's probably the only way. But I was thinking, do we want to lead off with the Whelp, or we can just spend all of our mana on the Scalebane and the Tortollan? We probably want to get the Scalebane on board, right? So that he gets the chance to bonus stat up our friends. And then we are kind of safe from Twin Tyrant here, right? 2 of our units have more than 4 health. I think we're in okay shape. Thing with these Dragon Mirrors, though, is they take fucking forever. We're supposed to have been able to get like 6 games in by this point. You just put your button on the Hunter hero power and call it a day. Apparently not.
The dragons come, and we are many.
Okay. I'm definitely building up more board here. What do we got? Holy Nova. Not gonna use that. Seems legit, Fam Jam. Seems like we're okay. We still got a lot of expensive stuff in our deck. And so I gotta imagine if he's in a space to be adding just like 1 big unit, then we're kind of okay there as well. There's the second Consecrate. Oh man, all kinds of cards coming in. Ugh. I guess we're not we're not looking nearly as good as I thought we were. That's a bit of a bummer. So we basically gotta like fight through this turn. I mean, like Holy Nova's okay, Aeon Reaver's okay. I don't really want to get involved in combats this turn. Like, all of our dudes are going to be going face, and so I'm leaning towards dropping Holy Nova. Does this deal damage to a minion equal to its attack? Okay, I was worried about the Bronze Explorer striking itself, or however that card was supposed to work. So he doesn't gain health this way. Go face. And then if, well, like, we don't win on this next turn, the game is done, right? He's going to definitely win. He's got a rando dragon in hand. He's going to get a trade with the Bronze Herald. That's going to give him 2 more dragons, and we'll just never catch up from that point. But if he doesn't have a taunt, doesn't have a way to get 2 units off of the board, then we're just gonna crash in and kill.
The dragons come.
All right, that guy's fine. Scared, fam. Scared. That guy's fine. I'm still scared, fam. He's highlighting that bronze dragon. All right, I'm not scared anymore. I think we're good. There we go. Combat time. GG. All right, so yeah, that was a touch of a misstep in the early game. I didn't immediately realize that we were playing against dragons, and so we stumbled a little bit in that early game. I don't remember what he played, if it was the Grim Street or whatever. Grim Street. Like, the last time I was playing to where the Grim Street hand buff guy was, like, actually legitimately good and strong, was when, like, a Murloc Paladin was quite good. And that just, like, you immediately get in your head, like, okay, we're playing against some kind of very, very aggressively slanted style deck. And then it just wasn't the case. All right. Game number 3 in the series. Looks like we're probably up against dragons again. Lots of innovation coming from the Hearthstone community. These are the guys to where you're out there playing Legends of Runeterra, and you've been playing the same meta for almost 4 months, and you're like, yeah, I think I will queue up with Elder Dragon Morgana today. I gotta I gotta climb a little bit out of climb a little bit out. All right, let's see how it goes. Big decisions on turn 1 from the opponent there. Lots of thought to be made. All right, Historian, what you got for us? Just take the most expensive one here, I think. I mean, we could look to take the Hoarding Dragon, I guess. We don't have a lot of early plays, and the Sleepy Dragon isn't like a real top-tier dragon. Maybe we do just go with the Hoarding Dragon. I do worry a little bit about the tempo loss that comes from this thing. But again, like, opponent doesn't have Execute. I guess there's kind of 2 angles to that, right? I was going to say, if opponent doesn't have Execute, then I think the loss isn't that bad. Right, because they do have to invest like 3 cards to take this dragon down. I guess that doesn't apply if they have Dragonslayer in hand, right? Getting your Hoarding Dragon popped by Dragonslayer does suck a lot of butt. But if we're going to think about the way that we're going to be beating this Dragon Warrior, is we're really looking to get those tempo style plays, right? We're looking to get a big turn out of something like Shadow Word Death, or something out of like the Dragonslayer, and just get on board more than they're able to stop. And it doesn't quite play to that if we're taking like the 9-cost Sleepy Dragon. I think that plays more into the opponent's favor, to where we're just going like really super slow. All right. But yeah, let's slow our roll a little bit. It's tough when we don't immediately have the guy that gives the minus cost. Alright, so he's gonna get to draw some cards. I think that's fine. He's gonna outcard advantage us anyways. I'm not super pleased with how this has gone though.
I wield the power.
Like we're falling behind in a matchup to where we can't fall behind. I mean, maybe we should have just coined out the Hoarding Dragon and called it a day. Say like, alright, this is the best we can do. Maybe it's the best we could do. But we might get to start to catch up from this point. We'll see. We'll see if he starts just dropping expensives. We are at least to the point now to where we have a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 7, and an 8. And so at least over the course of the next few turns, we should be pretty free to add a spell and a dragon, or add a Dragonslayer and a dragon. We'll see if that's the way that this rolls itself about. Can't hit that dum-dum with spells, though. Taking our dragons, huh? Cute. Cute, my dude. See if that opposing Dragonslayer rolls in. Nope, not yet. Well, I think I feel reasonable enough just dropping our 8. He's going to get the clear on 2 units this turn. Let's see where that lands. Okay, okay. Maybe that magic is starting to come together. Picks up coins, don't care. They aren't nearly as useful at this stage of the game. All right. Touch awkward. We could look to get the 7/7 on board, but I don't really like it when we don't have enough stats to just survive what already exists. I'm a little bit more interested in being able to roll into next turn and then be able to like Twin Tyrant up the stats on some of these things and then Shadow Word Death them down. It just sounds so mana ineffective. Who's our expensive one here? The Sleepy? Alright. Future Emissary finally making an appearance. I don't know what it feels like this guy's doing that the other guy didn't. Like, as to where all of our cards got drained out so fast in that previous game, and then this guy has played, he's played at least 2 draw 2s, and he's played 1. The Acolyte of Pain's going to be a draw 2 at least this game. It's going to be a draw 3 actually, and the other guy just wasn't really doing that. But we are starting to see ourselves build up to this interesting space again, to where You know, he's added a bunch of units to the board. They don't have a particularly strong stat line, and we might find ourselves able to, you know, get enough stuff on board to where we can then follow up with a silence if the silence makes its way about. Not how I wanted life to be, but you know what they say. It is what it is. You gotta get something down. He's gonna get the full draw 4 on this Acolyte of Pain. I guess we could have thrown away our Historian, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel that important. Execute. Okay, we're too far behind now. GG. We're getting zinged by the Dragon Warrior. We were hoping to be a little bit better against that than we have been today, but it's not being the case. I think what we'll end up showing in the next videos, we've been working on Jade Rogue, and that's one of these decks is to where you can see at games like that where your opponent just like dirtles around and doesn't actually do anything. And then again, it's like kind of playing the Nora decks of old. If you both want to just sit around and dirtle, then we'll just have the game plan to dirtle harder, and it tends to work out fine. It's curious at what point there's enough aggro stuff rolling around to kind of bring the balance to where you can't just play absolutely absurd, never beats an aggro deck style of control decks. But here we'll hang on to this. I would assume the Druid deck is going to be a little bit more on the aggressive end of the spectrum, so I definitely want the Holy Nova. I want the Activator for the Historian, and then an interesting pickup with the Silence finally making an appearance. We'll see if it gets to pop off some Mark of the Wilds or pop off some Treant, or if we're just going to be up against something completely different. All right, who do we have here? Twilight, well, kind of interesting. I'm just not entirely certain what's coming at us here. I guess it's some kind of Beast Druid. I don't know. I think I'm just going to go with the Fey Wing so that we can continue to play on curve. But I do concede that this is probably not the correct card to take. I was initially fairly interested in playing the Priest Dragon, the 1-cost one, since you can, you know, you don't have to play it on the first turn of the game. You can wait a little bit of time before you come and put that dude down. But the interesting thing with it is if you have the cost reduction dragon and then you give him the -1 cost and +1/+1, and then you just play it on free on turn 4 as a 3/4. It's not that bad of a deal, right? So he's of course good against all of these random decks, but then he's also useful in some other scenarios. Right, we haven't taken enough damage here to worry about the combos. I'm just going to put our dragon down. See if he plans on playing for board, or see if he plans on trying to build up again. This strikes me as the kind of turn to where you say, yeah, I'm just going to go wide. I'm going to play a Mark of the Wild or whatever and be able to fight through. So many monk turtles. I need the laser kitty emote. Now the question is this even worthy of a silence? I don't think it is. Like, I think we just want a Holy Nova here. We can have that stuff back for certain. And then if he does something later to where he wants to go for just the gigantic board of dudes and then play the Treant Death Rattle thing, we still have the silence in hand. All right, let's just go ahead and clear. It sucks to lose the 5/1 dragon in that space. You know, we could have left him back to just be a little bit more conservative, but like every unit that the opponent gets to keep on board is a way for them to really, you know, kind of amp up their strategy, whether or not it's going to be hand buff or the Treant thing. And I think just taking that unit down is going to leave us in an okay space. That Treant thing still costs 4 mana, right? Costs 3 mana now. How the times change.
I wield the power.
Let's just keep at it. I don't think we ever lose this game. Like, he's only down to 3 cards at this point. There is a very real chance that we should just be sending the 7 to the face at this point, right? If he has a Mark of the Lotus to boost a unit and he only has to trade 1 of them instead of 2, like, I don't think that matters so much at this point. But I think we're doing a great job of just not dying. And as long as we just don't die, we're going to be okay. Well, I guess that played itself out okay here. Take the beast off board just in case he has Mark of Yasiraj or some beast card. And I think we're good to go. I think we're okay now. Boop. Definitely want the taunt unit. Probably just go for the heal. I don't think the death rattle really matters at this point. Now we're set. There's the mark. Just a matter of time. Sure. Why not? We get sloppy, it's okay. Can't win them all. Alright, that's where we'll call it. That took quite a bit of time to fight through all of the dragon decks. We can pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. God, I keep looking for the runeterra.ar site. And so, you know, it was a bit unfortunate in terms of how the Dragon Warrior matchups went. I don't think it's, you know, the best mirror, or I guess the best matchup for us, but it's certainly winnable. And I think we didn't get to quite showcase a lot of the strengths that we actually have against that deck in terms of churning out tempo plays where we Shadow Word Death and play a dragon, or play a Dragonslayer and follow up with another dragon, as to whereas they're just much more value oriented and slow. You know, if you're going to drag a game on until turn 12, turn 13, turn 14, we're never winning those against Dragon Warrior, but we have the tools to jump out in front of it and make those tempo plays and get ahead and win, or finish off with a Shard of the Naaru killing all of their taunts. But we do get a lot of power against other decks in the format, right? Having the higher quality removal spells, not just being in the space to where it's like, well, I can't interact with you, but I can hope that my stat line is just enough. I prefer to be in that interactive space as opposed to the play a giant taunt and hope space. But otherwise, pretty reasonable. I've been playing quite a bit of this list over the past few days. I've been pretty happy with it, and it's something that should be able to do a fair amount of climbing. Nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. Hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So if everyone enjoyed the video, maybe learned a thing or two along the way, had a good time watching. This is Busted Me. Thank you for being here.